There's a saying that if you don't like the weather in Delaware, wait 5 minutes. For the vast majority of rehearsals and games, the weather is not an issue, and the band performs under bright sunshine. But when it's not nice out, well, those are the days that we often remember. When we start band camp, we're often dealing with blistering heat that cooks the practice field, and we try anything to keep from melting from the sun. Or, just as often, it rains throughout camp and forces the band to seek shelter.
The sun did not shine, it was too wet to play, so we sat in the house all that cold, wet day.
While turning the practice field into a mud pit.
Mud is what made band special for me this year.
In 2007, it wasn't until the Wednesday of band camp that the band was actually able to get on the field and start learning drill.
This is day 6 for the staff, it's still raining. This is day 5 for the rookie, the color guard and drum line, day 4 for the rookies, and day 3 for the band, and we still have no drill on the field because of this predicament outside. See, I got here and it was sunny, and it was 100 degrees on Thursday. However, the past 3 days, rain. We, as a color guard, are lucky because we got at least Bacchanal on the field, but the band, they don't know where they're going, so we're going to hit them when we finally get out there because we are prepared and they don't know any of the drill.
In 2011, we even had to end band camp early because of an incoming hurricane. Of course, 2011 was the same year that we had to deal with another of Mother Nature's natural phenomenons, an earthquake.
The ground beneath us shook, the turf started moving around. Some thought it was a train, some thought it was a quake. Little did we know there was a 5.9 in Virginia.
When it happened, we were marking time, so we were like, whoa. And then Mike was like, did you feel the ground shake? And we were like, oh yeah, our mark time was perfect. He was like, no, the ground really shook. We were like, whoa.
The room's starting to shake, and then
Something's happening.
Sarah Laskowski's like, get on the floor, as ghetto as possible.
And all of a sudden, the room started shaking.
Lights falling from the ceiling.
Lights fell from the ceiling, the very wobbly fixtures. They came crashing down. We lost a couple rookies just in that initial
I
onslaught.
think Kyle was crying. Maybe.
I was.
We think it was actually us that caused the earthquake because we're so awesome this year. It still is the reason. Yeah.
By the end of the season, we're bundling up in as many layers as we can fit underneath the uniforms to keep from freezing. Who can forget how cold it was in Indianapolis for that rehearsal before heading to the Dome? Or the night rehearsal in Connecticut? Or that Friday night playoff game in 2010, where the temperature started below freezing and continued to plummet throughout the game? Of course, there are times where the cold is bearable, such as in 2003 when a playoff game was played right after a snowstorm and snow filled the stadium. But we don't tend to remember as much the heat, the cold, the wind, or even a game in 2000 where you could hardly see across the field during the post-game performance because of the dense fog. No, what we remember the most is the rain. And boy, has it rained during the past 20 years. Fresh in our memories, of course, is this year, 2014. And although, yes, we've seemingly spent more time in the field house than the practice field on game day, and for the first time had a game postponed because of the weather, it actually only rained lightly during one cold and windy game. Not like Band Day 2013, where the rain started before halftime and just kept going throughout the halftime show and never let up.
The weather even cooperated with us tonight. This is fantastic. It's not even raining that hard. We get worried when there's lightning, but this is nothing.
Going back further to 2008, we experienced the only Allentown show where it rained. And what started out as a light drizzle at the beginning of the performance became steadily stronger as the band performed. But this wasn't the first time that year the band had to deal with a little precipitation. As it always seems to happen, the rain started to fall shortly before halftime when the pit was already in position to go out and play, and the rain just kept falling. But maybe the worst year was 2005. It all started on homecoming. It had already been an excessively wet fall, and the grass field at the stadium just didn't have a chance. Even though the rain let up after pregame, the field was so completely destroyed that it was unusable and had to be torn up and resodded, forcing a home game to be played in Richmond, Virginia. And then the very next home game, it rained again at halftime. This also sparked this infamous outburst from Heidi.
I want rain! I want more rain! My underwear's still dry!
And of course, it began to rain harder and harder throughout that halftime performance. Now, is it any coincidence that after Heidi gave Mother Nature that challenge, it has rained more often in the last 10 years than it did in the first 10? That just goes to show not to mess with Mother Nature.
Your uniforms! Please do not, under any circumstances, put them in anything that resembles a bag! Do not leave them in your car! Do not put them in your locker! Or you will have a new living, breathing brother or sister!
But whatever the elements, the band has learned to just put on a smile and to continue to put on a great show.